All right, welcome back, everybody, as this is Strange Planet Podcast. And this week's episode, we are going to be covering the Supreme Court recent ruling, where basically, in layman's terms, the president is more or less a king. As awkward as that is, and obviously this is July 5th, and this is right after July 4th, Independence Day. So I hope you enjoyed your Independence Day, because that might be the last one where you're going to have full rights for. Things go, as bad as they could here. So, Brooke, I believe you can probably elaborate a little bit more on the actual hearing itself and what the situation is here.
Yeah, so as everyone knows, the Supreme Court handed down a major decision earlier this week, probably the most consequential decision that the Supreme Court has ever issued. And essentially, to sum it up, when a Supreme Court justice in her dissent, this is Sotomayor, says the relationship between the president and the people he serves has shifted irrevocably, and in every use of official power, the president is now a king above the law.
Wow.
This is one of the top jurists in our country stating these words. Okay, those words have not come out of a justice. Nothing like that has come out of a justice's mouth in the history of our country.
Ever, yeah.
Okay. So let's try to understand this a bit, okay? So essentially what Justice Roberts in his majority opinion said is that a president can use his official power to do pretty much whatever the fuck he wants. So, if he uses the Department of Justice, if he uses the military, if he issues orders to them and says, like, I want you to go murder my political opponent. That is, if he issues an official order, that's an official act, and it's unreviewable by our criminal justice system. So not only do you have a situation in which we have, this Justice Department policy that basically says that, we can't really arrest a sitting president. We can't, charge a sitting president with a crime. Okay, well, how about after the president leaves office? Well, no, now we can't even do that. Okay.
Right.
So the president has like no check on the use of his power. And that is something called basically absolute immunity. Okay. Yeah. For his official acts now, he has absolute immunity for his core constitutional responsibilities. And that would include things like use of the military. Okay, that's one of the things that he doesn't share with Congress in terms of being commander in chief. Things that he shares with, those fall outside of his sort of core constitutional responsibilities and may fall into something that's on more of the periphery. But those two are also potentially, the subject of presidential immunity. And they also found, Justice Roberts and the conservatives also found, sort of a presumption that a president has immunity now. This presumption doesn't exist. It doesn't exist in the Constitution. Now, Clarence Thomas and a lot of his ilk like to say that they're textualists, that they, adhere to the text of the Constitution, the way it was written.
And, bullshit.
No, he revealed that is complete bullshit, because there's a Constitution that says the president is fucking immune from criminal prosecution. Right. There's nothing in the Constitution that says he has a presumption of immunity for, even acts that are outside the scope of his core constitutional responsibilities. This is complete made up bullshit. Okay, it's completely made up. And the Supreme Court has just revealed itself to be the corrupt instrument of billionaires and people that would like to see our country to do our country harm.
Yeah,
Okay,
more or less.
we're going to
Exactly.
talk about Project 2025 a little bit um, next week, starting next
Right.
week when we're really gonna, because we haven't talked about that yet.
Yeah,
And
and it
while
is
it
a
sounds
disaster.
like a very fringe, sort of project, something that like might appear in like the recesses of the internet. No, it is actually an almost 1,000-page manifesto put out by the very powerful conservative think tank Heritage Foundation. Now, Heritage Foundation and the Federalist Society are two of the most powerful conservative organizations in our country. The Heritage Foundation on sort of the policy front, and the Federalist Society on the legal front. They're the ones who are choosing these Supreme Court justices that are going to the court. Okay, they're the ones handpicking them for Republican presidents. Okay, and so this is just like it's a takeover of our country and the rule of law,
Entirely.
and it's ceding power. So like, who has immunity from criminal prosecution? The King of England.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, King Charles
That's
is immune from criminal and civil prosecution. Like, he can't be arrested for committing a crime ever. Okay. They also give him no power. So what we're doing is even worse than the UK, because we're
Yep.
saying our executive, you know, has this immunity, but he also has all this power that we gave him. The UK, when we broke away from the UK, we just celebrated Independence Day. When we broke away from the UK, like, we broke away from a monarch who had absolute power, but the UK has since reformed its monarchy. They're now like a monarch, like the monarchy is like, in name only. They get a lot of money and but they basically have no power. It's ceremonial. Whereas here, we essentially now have a limited monarchy where the president is immune from criminal prosecution for all intents and purposes, and they basically can say, like, he has to, he can't be prosecuted. He can't either. The only like remedy for this is I guess impeachment. But we saw how that goes. You have to have 2/3 of the Senate. So, like, if a political party is uncooperative, doesn't care about our country, and doesn't put country over party, then it's really impossible to hold the president accountable. Even Mitch McConnell, who basically said, "Oh, yep, Trump was responsible for January 6th." Yeah, I'm not like, this was like right after January 6th, before he left office. He was like, yeah, he did it. He's responsible. He, but I'm not gonna, you know,
Do
I'm not gonna
anything.
allow this impeachment trial to go forward. They can do it, when Chuck Schumer and the Democrats take over, they can hold this impeachment trial, right? Then when the impeachment trial happens, he's like, "Oh, well, you know what? If this happened during Trump's presidency, I would have voted to convict. But since we're doing it after the presidency and he's no
What a
longer
crock of
president,
shit. Yeah.
like, I can't vote to convict now." Excuse me, you were the fucking majority leader when the trial was sent to the Senate. So, like, what the fuck, dude? So
Yeah.
you're saying that during the period, right after, in January, when it's right before, right after the election, and the president can do whatever the fuck he wants, and we can't hold a trial in the Senate, which is our only way to, like, hold them accountable. And that's
Right.
just like, get him out of office. And if he's going out of office anyway, like, what the fuck? Like, but the only so like this is really, a major shift in power in terms of what our president can do. Now I
Yeah.
know I've talked so a lot, so I want
Yeah,
to
no, it's cool.
like shut up now and let's
I
get some of
mean,
your thoughts.
the sad part of the whole thing is we're slowly watching the death of democracy, and this is exactly what's happening. And some people might think, well, what the fuck? Like, what can we do about it? The only thing that can really stop this guy and stop Project 2025 is voting for Biden. If Trump wins, all this shit is likely going to happen. And the difference, really, the real difference between his first disaster of a fucking term and the next one is the first one, he didn't have his little, like blood sucking little henchmen in places of power. Now he does. So there's a big possibility he can get a majority of that 2025 project done without even Congress. He could just do it. And
Right.
it's
Because
propulsive, this whole thing. It's
one of the critical aspects of this case, of this ruling, is like can not only does the president have this immunity, right? Even if he was to be criminally prosecuted for something that has nothing to do with his official presidential powers. So let's say, like, he raped, he raped someone. Okay, that has nothing to do with his presidential powers, right?
right.
You would figure that the president could just be criminally prosecuted for rape, right?
You would think.
However, what if he said, I order the Secret Service to hold the girl down for me, right?
Wow.
That is an official act. And what the case, what the ruling of the court says is that you can't use evidence of an official act in the prosecution of a president, even if that has the thing that you're prosecuting has nothing to do with the presidency. So like it's
Man.
fucking insane. So like, that if your only evidence is like the testimony of said Secret Service agents who were there and said, yeah, the president ordered me to hold her down, like it's crazy that they wouldn't be able to testify in that trial.
Nope.
Because it's an official act. He ordered me to do it. Like, it's fucking crazy. Like, he can go, like, if he orders the Justice Department to, or he orders SEAL Team 6. I think Justice Sotomayor even, gave this as an example in her dissent. If he orders SEAL Team 6 to say,
Wow.
let's shoot a political opponent. Let's just shoot him. Take him off the map. I don't want to deal with him. Right? That order to SEAL Team 6 is an official act of the president of the United States. He gave an official order to his military. The military carries it out. Or even if they don't, like if you want to criminally prosecute the president for doing that, you can't. Like that's fucking insane. That is fucking insane. I'm sorry.
That is fucking bananas.
And where in the Constitution does it say that you can't use that as evidence in a criminal prosecution? And if anyone doesn't think this is consequential, look at it even in New York, in the New York trial, where it's completely a state based. It's in a state, right? It has nothing to do with federal law or whatever. Like, we have a jury that like found him guilty of these crimes that have nothing to do with his presidency.
34 counts.
Right? But now it's delayed because now they have to review, oh, well, did they say anything during trial materially that involved him and his official acts as president? So like they're trying to get the conviction overturned, even though it has nothing to do with him as president. It's a New York, it's New York crimes. They're trying to overturn it on the basis that, oh well, like during the trial it was mentioned, official acts of that Donald Trump did as president, were involved in the trial. They were testified to.
Wow.
And therefore, because of this new evidence rule where evidence, of official acts can't be used in a criminal prosecution of the president, fucking insane.
Yep.
And that is that. And we talk about like no man is above the law, that is an explicit right that our fucking Supreme Court, which betrayed us the day they released that opinion, they betrayed our nation.
You're 100% right.
That is a right they carved out for one fucking person. They put one person above the law. It's not in the Constitution. Our framers didn't imagine the president to be someone that could get away with whatever the fuck he does just under the guise
literally murder
of presidential official acts, like using it, like, of course, like the power of an executive, of a president is powerful, and to abuse that power, we as Americans need a way to stop a president and punish a president for doing that. Now a president can, just use his power without consequence, without thinking about, oh, well, can I be arrested for this? Is this wrong? Is this morally wrong? Well, nope. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter anymore because our Supreme Court betrayed us on this day.
Yeah. No, that's well put. Well said. It really did. I mean, Mark, how do you feel about this whole Supreme Court ruling here?
Well, it's definitely the nail in the coffin for democracy. I don't agree with you guys that it could be come back. We are dead in the water. The pawns are in place. It's just going to come to the election, and it doesn't matter what the election is going to be. Whether Biden wins or whether Trump wins, it's going to be Trump. Because if Biden wins, he's going to bitch and moan that he won and it was all fake electors and this, that, and both. He's going to do it. Because why would all these people in these positions of power suddenly now show their true colors if they already didn't know they're going to make it to the finish line? So, pack your bags. No more red, white, and blue, folks. It's going to be orange, orange, orange. So get out your wigs,
sad as it is,
your little baby hands, and paint yourself orange, because that's what this country is now. It's the United States of fucking Donald Trump, and there's nothing anyone can do about it.
That's the scariest part.
Voting is now going to be gerrymandered up the fucking wazoo to where nobody can vote for Democrat ever again. And I don't even think it's going to last that long, because eventually they'll just get rid of the whole voting thing altogether. They'll just proclaim himself king and they'll just put that to law.
I don't know if they'll get rid of voting, though, because like in Russia, they still have elections.
Yeah, well,
but that's to appease us. That's to appease us. If they were over there doing, because Vladimir Putin's still killing his own
voting. Kills anyone that challenges them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really matter.
Fall out a window or a flight of stairs.
That'll start happening here. Anyone that challenges Donald Trump in his new election,
Putin poisons.
Oh, I guarantee you this. I guarantee this. The first thing that happens when Donald Trump becomes president is they extend the amount of times you can be president, because this will be his second, supposedly last.
Yeah, right.
And like, no, I need a third term, or fourth term, or fifth term. Fuck it, I'm going to be emperor.
All I know is too.
Yeah, but good thing he's old as fuck.
That's
he'll pass it down to his sons. It'll become a monarchy. We'll be
that's the only
United States of freaking.
Do I think
let's go back to Sotomayor. She said that it doesn't even matter now. Like, the relationship between the president and the people he serves has shifted irrevocably.
Yeah, there's nothing. Right. No courts can do anything. No, the police are pretty much just going to be all for business, and that's going to get worse. Everything's going to get worse. It's just going to be terrible for everybody.
Kind of funny for someone that says that the other election was rigged.
Yeah, and then they're going to sit there and claim that it's going to be a bloodless war or whatever. Well, they're going to be putting their thumb down on everybody else. And the second anyone from our side, whether it's the Democratic side or what's left of the Democratic side or any kind of democracy, will be snuffed out like little candles, one by one.
Yeah.
It's gonna be
Right.
fucking. It's gonna be Germany, man. I'm
One
telling
thing
you.
I'll say though too is just if people think that this is America, a dictatorship, none of that'll ever happen here. You better get your head out of your ass.
It's
You know what I mean?
too
Because
late.
it's could be too late. You're right. It could possibly be.
It's not that it could be. It is too late. We have 6 Republican Supreme Court justices and 3, which means anything that goes there immediately gets
That's an
thumbed
interesting point
So
there. That's a good point.
That is all your law, all your legal ways of trying to get him in jail out the window. Can't do shit. He could do what he said. He can go in the middle of the street in broad daylight on live TV. Bang, you're dead.
Yeah, on Fifth
And the
Avenue.
second he
remember?
appeals to the Supreme Court, they'll make up some bullshit reason. Oh, he was doing an official act where he was wiping his ass and then he shot some guy. It was an accident. Oh well. I'm telling you, I've been fearing this, and you know what? It's funny how after the debate that they decided to let this information out because they saw weakness in the Democrats because of Joe Biden had a very poor standing.
This information, the case.
What do you mean?
What do you mean by let this information out? The ruling?
Yeah, let the ruling out right after the debate.
They waited. The Supreme Court waited until the last possible day before their recess. That's what they did to give Trump as much time, or to have as little time between now and the election. They were like, you know what, we're gonna all these trials, because the criminal trials that Trump is facing will now have to be delayed. And when will they be delayed till?
After the election.
After the election.
And all he's going to do is cry foul. They're just fake voters selection. He's going to. I wouldn't be surprised if there will be actual fake electors this round to get Trump elected.
But the only good thing about this is that right now Trump is not president. He doesn't any executive power that he can wield right now.
If Trump can kill his political opponents,
I was thinking that earlier.
Once he's there, it's over.
Yeah, it's a wrap. The goal now is to make sure you don't get there.
Let me quote. This is a preview of our Project 2025 coverage, by the way. Let me quote the president of the Heritage Foundation, who said, on Steve Bannon's podcast, Steve Bannon, who is now in fucking prison
for 4 months.
Finally, but Trump pardoned him for something else.
Then good riddance, motherfucker.
Of something completely different. Once he gets out, he has another trial in September. Like, this guy's a fucking criminal. And that actually, him and Paul Manafort, 2 campaign managers who are fucking criminals. He had to pardon 2 campaign managers. What the fuck?
Right?
Oh my God. All right.
Yeah, but see, here's the problem. No one cares.
I think his base cares. That's a good point.
Care.
Yeah.
So hold on. For him anyway. I'll vote for him if he's a president. I'll vote for him if he's a criminal. I'll vote for him if you bang my mom without my permission. They don't care. They love him like he's, this God king that was descended upon this earth. He's one of the biggest douchebags I've ever heard about in business.
Right. For real.
So hold on.
He was handed everything. All these people that vote for him, they didn't grow up like him. So why are they worshiping a billionaire? You don't give a fuck about you.
What I was going to say is to quote the president of the Heritage Foundation on Steve Bannon's podcast. He said in response to this ruling by the Supreme Court, he says, now listen carefully. We are in the process of the Second American Revolution, which will remain bloodless if the left allows it to be.
What the fuck?
What the fuck is that? Right? That's like a threat. Like, we're overthrowing the government, and there doesn't have to be any violence if you just let us overthrow the government.
The government. Yeah, right? Like, we're supposed to sit back and let it happen.
What the fuck? This is the president of the Heritage Foundation who put out, the almost 1,000-page manifesto, detailed policy for Project 2025. What the fuck is that? This is after January 6th. How dare you use that fucking rhetoric?
Yeah, for real. Who the
a
fuck are
second
you?
American
Like,
Revolution. When
I,
you
well,
when
all I have to say to that
your
is
ilk
let the
went
blood
down
flow,
to the
baby.
Capitol and fucking stormed the Capitol building.
yeah,
Okay.
right.
How dare you use that rhetoric in our country? These people aren't patriots. They're fucking traitors. They're fucking traitors, and they mean our country harm.
Yeah.
And if
Yeah,
we don't stop
exactly.
them from taking
Yeah.
power, our
Here-
country's
here-
over. Our
Here's the
country
thing.
is
Don't we
over.
have laws about traitors set up in this country? It's like, so
Well,
shouldn't people be
Sure,
fucking
but I
getting
mean,
arrested?
we're supposed to. I mean,
we also have, we allow people to think, whatever they want, to hold beliefs, as long
Yeah, but
as
there's a
they're
fine
not
line
breaking
between
any.
beliefs and you fucking with the country, and all these
right,
people are
right.
fucking with the country.
Well, I mean, Fox News has been doing that for 20-some plus years now. So,
Well, misinformation is one thing, but like you got these politicians that are putting themselves in certain places and doing things that are not helping the country at all. I
nope.
mean, there is no accountability across the board, and that's a big problem. Here's the thing. They're supposed to be public servants. They're not public servants. They're private servants. They're serving themselves and those who put money in their
They're
pockets.
serving
And that is
millionaires,
the
especially Clarence
biggest
Thomas.
problem in this
Yep.
country. So I
know.
mean, is socialism a good way to go? I mean, not necessarily. That takes away the freedoms of what this country was founded on. But at the same time, you can't have all these people making oogles and oogles of money where they don't know what to do with, so they build a little doghouse of $100 bills and burn it just because they can.
Yeah, I don't think socialism the answer, but
Well,
Not
it's just-
entirely. Not entirely. More
first of
socialist
all,
practices
we
could
already-
make a difference.
we already
not an
have socialistic
entire-
practices in this
no.
country with the way the infrastructure is working, the way social security is working. That's all socialism kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
fire department, all that. Police.
Exactly. So I mean, it's not
socialism.
unheard of for us to do that in this country, but I'm not saying that's our answer. I'm saying that we need to establish,
right. But I'm
because
talking
money is the root of
broader
all
social-
corruption, and that's where this is all coming from. It's just money. It's just
Right,
money. Whether
but
it's
a
the
broader
grifters
socialism-
grifting, whether it's the super elite money oligarchs who want to have their political influence by throwing money at people. That's the problem. We need to have a maximum of what you can make as a human being. No, it
Or a
goes
maximum
against
as a
your-
contribution to a political campaigan or something.
no, just as
Yeah,
a
it
human
can't be
being,
an infinite
a
amount.
maximum. You can
Can't do
only
that,
make
citizens united.
I mean, things
No,
would be
but-
so much better if people were fair, but nobody's fair, and life is not
This
fair.
is far from a fair country. That's for sure.
Socialism in a broader sense, in terms of having, publicly owned companies and you can't have private businesses. I don't think that's the answer.
No,
I don't
agree
think so
with
that's the
you.
answer either. But I'm saying, if you're a CEO or owner of a company that makes millions upon billions of dollars, you should make X, and anything past that should trickle down to the people under you, like it's supposed to. But they take the $50 million bonus checks because they gave the finger to some asshole or whatever the situation is. They make stupid money for no reason at all, and
Some of them are just bought off
Well,
entirely.
a lot-
needs to be regulated. I hate to say it because regulation.
But we don't have real antitrust law in this country anymore. We allow companies to get as big as they want.
Yes, they
Exactly.
want, right.
And that's a problem because now they can
It's a
buy
problem.
your life. It's ridiculous.
It is a problem, and there's something to be said about the world is growing more connected, and you need sort of larger companies to operate internationally. Sure, there's that, but with that growth, there should be increased regulation and oversight of those companies as they become less competitive, free enterprise businesses, and more like institutions that cannot be changed or moved by the consumer.
You would agree, though, obviously, that the only real way to counteract this whole thing is to vote for Joe Biden.
Obviously, vote for Joe Biden. Way
that's
to
going to be the
prevent-
person. Yeah.
Yeah, the way to prevent a complete collapse of our current system of government, which is democracy, is to vote for Joe Biden. That will temporarily stave off, the immediate consequences of the Supreme Court decision. However, the Supreme Court decision will remain
Right.
as long as there's a 6-3 majority of conservatives on the court. And that's not going to change anytime soon unless we talk about court packing, which is just a whole can of worms that, I don't know, that could also end democracy. Because if we pack the court, then they'll pack the court, and then the court will just, be an extension of whoever's in power.
Unbelievable.
Which, it's an extension of whoever got the most picks at the, particular point in time, who got lucky or who stole them. Mitch McConnell. But if we open the, if we pack the court, then it'll just be whoever's in power will just pack the court with their own justices, and that will essentially destroy our judicial branch, which
entirely, yeah.
Which Roberts basically did to begin with. He's already destroyed the judicial branch by saying, "Oh, the president's basically a king, and we can't, criminally prosecute him." There's no way to bring evidence. There's no way to bring evidence into court of, his official acts to prove any criminal wrongdoing, even in cases that are unrelated to official presidential acts. It's
broken.
We're already at a point where, we're losing, our democratic nature, our rule of law, our, things that we've worked so hard to, that ancestors have fought for, that have, been refined through, centuries of practice, and it's just thrown out the window. Like, when I went to law school, like, we learned things like, Chevron deference, which the court did away with, like, in a decision like maybe like a week and a half ago or something. And that was like a huge deal before this one. It basically said, like, Chevron deference is like, the agencies of government, like of the executive branch, are, they have policy experts that, know how to implement policy that Congress doesn't really have the expertise to do. So I've worked in Congress, right? You have a limited number of staff per member of Congress. Yeah, you have like committee staff that have some expertise when you're, legislating. But at the end of the day, you don't have a huge agency and apparatus to basically construct, policy around. And, so what Congress does is basically, when it creates the law, it says, here's the law, here are the parameters, here's what the agency, you can't exceed the scope of this law. Okay, agency, go implement this law and make whatever rules and regulations you need to in order to, carry out the will of Congress. If you don't, if you exceed the scope of your authority, then there's going to be trouble. It can be reviewed in courts. You have to like publish, your proposed rules, and you have to have a public hearing for rules. There's a whole process to make sure that these agency rules are within the scope that Congress provided authority, or for which Congress provided authority. So the Supreme Court basically said,
all that.
Before we just deferred to the agency when things were like, when they said, okay, let's let the policy experts figure that out. This gives the authority to the executive branch to do that. Now, you can't do that anymore. So basically, it says that, Congress or even the court is now the policy expert and has to decide, whether or not, an agency can do this. And, that is no accident, because, This was specifically a case about the EPA and pollution. And yeah, I mean, pretty much the polluters are like Koch Industries are paying off Clarence Thomas and who knows what other justices
Right? Exactly. At this point.
to rule in their favor. So this is just this you know president is now a king ruling. Um, that is just the nail in the coffin in a series of crazy Supreme Court decisions that are going to impact their country for decades to come. Unless we can figure out some way to, rebalance the course. And so it means that every election going forward is going to be existential because now if the Republicans gain power, whoever's the executive is going to have the capability to be a king without fear of being criminally prosecuted.
Right.
And that's some scary shit.
That's some seriously scary shit there. I don't think people realize what that really, I mean, hopefully this episode's been enlightening, but that's a really scary thought. And this country's never been in this situation before. This is a first, and this is not a good first.
In that situation in 1776.
Yeah,
okay?
right.
We drove away from the situation in which we had a monarchy, and now we're slowly returning to it, and ever more rapidly. And we will definitely accelerate toward returning to a monarchy if Trump becomes president.
One positive thing that could come out of this: Biden can actually pardon his son because they can't turn around and do jack about it.
Yeah. Technically, you're right. He could
pardon his son now.
I will officially, as an act of the president, pardon my son.
Yeah.
No. This court case says like Trump. Biden could pardon his son right now, or before the court case. Like he has the presidential pardon power. Has no like ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Yeah.
You can pardon for whatever reason, even corrupt.
That's a good point too.
No, I know, but now he can do it, and they can't go after him. They can be, we're gonna get after you and put you to court. Like, no, you can't. Sorry.
No, well, I mean, they couldn't really go after him before. What they could have, what the court ruling does now is say, someone pays Trump money for a pardon. Say, some billionaire gets arrested for
why you gotta bum me out?
Some Epstein shit, right?
Yeah, fraud or something. Say
he gets arrested, under like some federal law for some Epstein type shit, right? Yeah. So, and he
could buy his way out of jail.
He could literally walk up to Trump in broad daylight and say, here's $20 million, Trump, because you could probably buy him for $20 million. Here's $20 million, President Trump.
Yeah, pardon me.
Are everywhere. TV cameras are everywhere recording this, right? Yep. I want you to use your presidential pardon power and pardon me in exchange for this $20 million. And you know what? Thanks to this ruling, Trump could say, okay, I will take your $20 million, Mr. Epstein, and I will pardon you in exchange for that $20 million.
Wow.
I will do the official act of a pardon in exchange for that $20 million. And you know what? Even though it's recorded and everyone has seen it, if I'm somehow charged for taking a bribe, right? This was an official act, right? Yeah. It's my power. So even if I somehow was able to be charged with this after I leave the presidency, because they can't charge me during it, you can't do anything about it now, right? Right? Were to somehow say this bribe, wasn't an official act. If you go to court and you can't use the recordings that everyone's seen to prove to a jury that this took place, you can't have that as part of the evidence because It involved the president's pardon power, his official power. This is how stupid the fucking decision is, and how
real.
it is.
It's hard to believe that we're talking about America right now.
I was trying to come up with a silver lining,
right? Because this is so un-American, and it just blows my mind that like people are, I guess, okay with this. I mean, I don't know how or why. It's wrong and fucked up in every way imaginable.
They're too stupid to know. Yes,
that's fair. They just want to ignore it.
The Supreme Court.
No, because they are too stupid to know. It is,
the Supreme Court
they get told something and they're like, "Oh, I guess that's okay."
They know.
Criminal.
Believe me, they know.
Well, no, they know, but I think that he's talking about the minions.
What we're not going to do is let the Supreme Court, feign ignorance. Oh, we don't know what's going to happen. They know.
I'm just talking about their average.
No, he was talking
about
the minions. Yeah.
They're all fucking stupid.
And when our country is forever changed, and we lose our democracy,
and things will be worse than ever,
we will point the finger if we're still alive.
Right.
Yeah.
Roberts and his traitor Supreme Court that betrayed our country.
Yeah, that's well put. That's 100% the facts right there.
Those will be the first hanging from the gallows. I'll tell you that.
It's unbelievable, man. It's hard to believe, like I said before, that this is America we're talking about, but
apparently America has to go back to the freaking 1820s before we can go forward into the new millennium. This is absolute ridiculousness.
It's chaos.
Not even at its finest. This is at its ugliest.
Yeah, and it's only going to get uglier.
They can't even do this with the blue collar method or the white collar method. They got to go dirt and dirty, and just. I can't.
You know what makes me feel better? I said it earlier.
Here's the thing. You're right. We are better than this. It's just that the American people, the ones who have their heads on straight, are better than this. It's just that the political system has been so far gone for so long since Reagan, or before that, it started going sour, and it's coming to a head, and the pimple's about to pop.
That's got some.
You remember Nixon?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
That used to be the worst.
Nixon looked like a friggin' Boy Scout. What the hell?
Yeah, remember Bush?
If John Roberts was around during Nixon would have just stayed in office.
Yeah, he wouldn't have left. He wouldn't have resigned.
What recording? I heard it was just him saying hello.
Right? Oh man,
official.
I can't. The best country in the world, and we have the most stupidest people running it.
Yeah, basically.
Can't understand it. No, I'll take that back. They're not the stupidest people. They're the most corrupt people.
Yeah.
And that's why people hate this country, because we have these kind of corrupt individuals running it.
Yeah. And all of this, including the Project 2025, Biden has nothing to do with any of that. So don't try to loop his name.
Let's save that, because that's a lot of stuff that.
Yeah, we're going to unpack that for people starting next week.
That's going to be a lot, folks. So just prepare.
That's going to be a lot. You got that right. I guess right there, we're going to cut it.
And the reason why we're going to attack it is not because of how absurd it is. It's because how close to reality it can become.
That's
on
big
top
facts.
of the absurdity. It's just, you thought the Supreme Court thing was bad. If this thing comes into actual effect, move to Mexico, move to Canada, move to friggin' somewhere.
Right? It might be your best option. And unfortunately,
America is not the greatest country in the world anymore. And it hasn't been for a long time. I mean, it feels great because we have some great freedoms right now, but all that's getting taken away.
Much longer. Not if he gets in. Not if Trump gets in.
How dare you say this is another revolution? This is not a revolution. This is what's going to spark a revolution. And this is going to be, it's going to be bloody if it gets to it. I hope it doesn't, but it's looking like more and more that's going to be the hump that breaks this. Because I feel like we're in the whirlpool, or we're in the toilet, just like circling around the end.
It didn't go down yet, but we're on the way.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it kind of feels like that. It does. It's unreal.
People just stopped caring about themselves all the time. This country, this world would be a better place. But everyone's out for themselves and fuck everybody else.
It's like they're trying to make wrong right.
Yeah.
That's kind of what's happening here. Yeah. But on that note, that is all we got for this week, folks. Democracy is at stake. We have a corrupt Supreme Court that's just literally, I don't even
Not
know
even
what to call
Supreme
this.
Court.
Yeah, like
House has got corruption in it. The Senate's got corruption in it.
it's a massacre at this
everywhere.
point.
Oh, by the way, I just want to say one more thing. John Roberts, fuck you.
Fuck you,
Fuck you, John Roberts. Fuck you, Clarence Thomas. Fuck you, Alito. And Amy Coney Barrett, I'm still a little 50-50 on you. I want to kind of say fuck you, but you seem to be like kind of clashing back and forth, which makes me have a little hope for you. But fuck all you other ones.
Right? And be sure to like,
Democratic
share,
ones,
subscribe.
I know, hang in there, guys. Hopefully we'll get some other people with you. Hopefully,
sure-
I don't know.
And be sure to like,
Close it
share,
out.
subscribe. And
Shut
we will
the
see you
lights
guys
down.
next week when we will be covering that Project 2025 disaster. Till next week.
You guys.
Peace.